The European Union has sent more than 100 armored vehicles to Ghana. And the reason is to fight counter-terror for a counter-terrorism. But is it? Is Ghana what it needs is an armored vehicle, a military aid, or is it an economical aid? And why Ghana? Is it a backstabbing on Sahel against the Sahel region by Ghana? Now, these are the questions I'm going to look at in my next presentation. Hello, I am Mahlet Ayele, your host at Connect Africa, bringing you the latest from the Sahel region and also from the continent. So tune in, stay with me, and I will try to shed a light on this news. So the European Union has sent, to be exact, 105 armored vehicles to Ghana. Now, this is following after the European Union has sanctioned Niger, not humanitarian aid, but other things, that bans the military leaders from traveling and other things. And then also following Olaf, the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz visit in the region as well. Now, the reason that's, of course, the pretext given by the European Union is for counterterrorism to minimize the increasing military insurgents in the region. But the real reason is the region, first of all, it has become a battleground for those the Cold War combatants that we know, which are in confrontation and possibly to be a next battleground if this war happens. Is EU really sending these 100 vehicles for Ghana just as a military? What are they protecting? What do they have in the region? Now, let me share these slides with you. Now, why, first of all, why they are arming Ghana? So, as we all know, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have kicked out the French military from the region, and also other European military bases in Niger have left the country following the revolution in Niger since July 26. There were a number of not only French, but there were a number of European military bases. Now, if we look at the Sahel, of course, it stretches. I mean, I will try to give you a background. First of all, what makes that Sahel region? Who are these, terrorist groups? And also, why Ghana? I mean, why the focus is on Ghana? So now the Sahel region, there are five countries, but normally now the Sahel region, it stretches between Senegal to Eritrea, to the Eastern Africa. So this is what you see here is a larger area of the Sahel region, from, as you can see here, Mauritania, from Senegal to Eritrea, to the very to the Horn of Africa, or to the very east part of the continent. But the five there is called a 5G Sahel countries, but that includes only let me see if I have it. Yeah, here. These are the five regions. You have Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Niger, Mali, and then Chad as well. So these are the 5G Sahel countries. But largely, as you have seen from Niger, from Senegal to Eritrea, they call it the bigger Sahel region. Now, in all these countries, they have, of course, military bases. Europe has, and America as well, and Canada, They all have military bases in this region, peacekeeping missions, all kinds of military. Sometimes you wonder why it's so important. Of course, the region has its own challenges. There is a governance issue. Yeah, and then there's the terrorist groups. Now, in 2014, this is according to the Institute Security Studies of Africa. In 2014, 5 countries, Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Niger, and Mauritania, created the G5 Sahel group to foster cooperation in tackling the region's security and developmental challenges. Now, growing regional security concerns include the occupation of northern Mali by rebel groups and the other movements affiliated to Al Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. So now these are the different acronyms for these terrorist groups: the IC, the ISGS, the JNIM, the MNLA. These are the Tuaregs. This is the Al Qaeda and the Islamist group QIM, and then there is called MUJ. And actually, it can be more than this. Now, this this is a pretext, but these militants or these rebel groups or terrorist groups, whatever you call them, they increased in number actually after the Europeans, after the war in Libya, when the US and France started to bring their military, and other European countries. The number has increased, having different names of terrorist groups, which allegedly France was supporting those terrorist groups. For example, if you see when the coup or this revolution happened in Niger, immediately, this is like the July 26th it happened. Now the change of the government, the military took power. Then August 9 already, if you see this came out through Reuters, a former rebel leader and politician in Niger, Rissa Ajbula, has created a political movement called the Council of Resistance of the Republic, CRR, to restore the ousted president, Mohamed Bazoum. Now, this is when still the French military was there, and Europe was talking, the whole world was talking about, and ECOWAS was talking about restoration of the ousted president. And Niger was continually resisting this. So now they came up with this, to topple the military administration and to restore that ousted Mohamed Bazoum. So this is one example, but a number of terrorist groups are created under their nose while they have a number of military bases in the Sahel region. Now, look at this. These are all this is actually in 2019. We have more updated one. Yeah, look at this. These are all the military bases in Africa. It's like no man's land, okay? Look, I mean, how a sovereign nation, a continent that boasts about an independent country, that it has achieved its independence, it has thrown away colonialism, can possibly have all this foreign military in the continent. It's just impossible. Look at it. It's all, colonialism, but this time with our own will, okay? With our own will. The one in brown is the ones that don't have. So here you can see Ethiopia don't have. What do we have? This here we have Algeria. This is Algeria, don't have. it looks like Senegal don't have. I think Senegal has maybe this is 2021. We need a more updated one, but still, it's very, very, you know, very, I don't know. It's just beyond imagination how president, you know, these leaders, heads of states, can allow this match of a foreign military, and you actually talk about you are an independent country. It's insane. In Chad alone, there are 9, you know. It's not when you see here, for example, in Chad, there is France and there is US. Now those countries have a number of, you know, Chad is big, as you can see, but they have a number of military bases in different parts of one country. Maybe sorry, one could be the air military, the air base. One could be for the ground battle. They have a number of military bases. Sorry. Yeah. So in Niger, for example, you see Germany, the US, Italy, France. There were more than, I think, like Canada. There were about 9 countries. They all have left, so, except the US, and then the France, which is still by the end of this year, it's expected to leave. Now they all, especially this here in the Sahel region, what they are claiming is, now this is the Sahel in focus. Okay, in Niger, look at it. They have it in Agadez, they have in Niamey, Mali, there is Bamako, Timbuktu. Now they have left Mali and Burkina Faso, they are free. Chad, they are having them all. You know, what is now kicked out from Niger is going to Chad. Look at this. Okay, now all this is in the name of counter terrorism. Now, the thing is, now let's focus on Ghana. Okay, now Ghana is a very resource rich country. But this wealth has not always been translated into prosperity for its citizens. The country faced an economic crisis as we speak now, especially Ghana under the president of Nana Akufo-Addo. Okay, so the country has faced an economic crisis marked by high inflation and mounting public debt. It's number 1 in Africa right now by taking loan above the limit from the IMF and reaching approximately 90% of its GDP. In December of the previous year, Ghana defaulted on loans from foreign lenders and had to secure a $3 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund. Now, yeah, so we are focusing on Ghana. Let me add some facts about Ghana. So, because now we are trying to relate why Ghana, why they are sending this armored vehicle to Ghana. Okay. So when we put Ghana in focus, Ghana is facing a number of challenges, especially particularly in its economy. For example, now Ghana's economic challenges have been further exacerbated by a recent power crisis. There's also a lack of electricity power. Despite being a country rich in oil and gas resources, the nation has faced recurring electricity shortages. These energy problems, alongside, you know, the economic crisis, it has a potential, according to them, to foster instability and provide an opening for terror. If there is, you know, if this brings any chaos, meaning Ghana's economic crisis, the electricity shortage and the high inflation, if anything, the problem is only for the Ghanaians. Maybe they will call for a regime change. So the problem is there in Ghana. It has nothing to do with terrorism, as they are really trying to relate everything to terrorism. Now, the European Union, it recognizes the severity of the situation. This is, I'm quoting from them, the situation, and it's is determined to help stabilize the region. They have initiated a military aid outreach program, which includes providing armored vehicles, which they have just delivered to Ghana, and then three other countries along the Gulf of Guinea. Now, these names, pay attention, it's Ivory Coast, Togo, and Benin. Now, all these three countries are ECOWAS member, I mean, including the Sahel region, except that now Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger have been banned because of the revolution. Now, these three countries, now the ones that EU is planning to send these vehicles, Ghana has got already. Now, Ivory Coast, Benin, and Togo, they have been on board for military intervention in Niger. They have been on board to contribute troops for the military intervention. And even Ghana, I mean, I don't know about the military, the troops contribution, but it was on board, you know, it was in support of the military intervention in Ghana. Now, Ghana, we all know, it's an anchor, as they call it. It's an anchor state in West Africa for the imperialists, for the Western world. Now, the Ghana so is becoming by having this military. I mean, does Ghana have an enemy? With its surrounding, with the countries that it is sharing borders, it has no enemy. Why do they get all these vehicles? If for their economic crisis, what they need is a support, maybe a date cancellation, things like that, but not really a military aid. So for who is fighting who? I mean, these are the narratives we need to fight against. Now, let me go back to my slides. Now, again, as we focus on Ghana, Ghana has reached, Nana Akufo-Addo is in his second term, and the debt is really, really, it's now actually number one in the continent by the number of, you know, the amounting of its debt. Now, Ghana has maintained its spot as Africa's most indebted country to the International Monetary Fund. Ghana's debt to the IMF increased by 35.5% over the time period under consideration. So this is according to the IMF data in July 2023, this year. Now, Ghana's debt from the total of the continent, now the Africa in total owns 17.68 billion. This accounts for 9.55, almost 10% of the total that is owed by the whole African countries, Ghana alone. Okay. Now, out of the 5 categories of the largest outstanding loans as of July this year, Ghana's special, you know, IMF has this thing, the special drawing rights. So yeah, Ghana's special drawing right stood at 1.6 billion, which is higher than the highest that it has scored in April this year. Again, the following Ghana in the continent, there is Kenya also with high debt, Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, and then others follow. Now, this is what the former president Mahama said about Nana Akufo-Addo and his debts. Okay, owing now generations. I mean, how many generations will be indebted for this? You know, keep on paying the IMF instead of trying to use your money. You will just be paying and paying to these people. So this is in 2020, just before Nana Akufo-Addo's second term election. This is what he said. Nana Akufo-Addo has borrowed so much to a tune of 140 billion Ghana cedi in 4 years. He continues, sometimes I think about it and just imagine what I would have done with 140 billion Ghana cedi. So at that time, it was 140 billion. Now it's about 600 billion, the debt of Ghana to totally that it has, okay, around 600 billion Ghanaian cedi. So 140 was in 2020. Just see in 3 years how many hundreds of billion that it has increased. So Mahama continues, I borrowed only in his term 56 billion cedi, and I mean the evidences are there all to see. So if I had 100, so he's actually talking about if I had 140 billion debt, so he's imagining what he could have done for his country. So he said the country will be on a next level. Now, before the administration of current president Nana Akufo-Addo entered office in 2017, the total amount of Ghana's indebtedness was less than 25 billion. Wow. Can you imagine less than 25 billion? What is it now? Our indebtedness have now reached a staggering Ghanaian cedi 600 billion. After the current administration has been in office, what have you done now with this 600 billion? I mean, he's almost 80 years old. Soon he will leave office. For who this will be? Now, who is going to be all this debt? So on top of this, now look at what the European Union is donating to this country, which is full of debt. Now you bring an armored vehicle, what on top of it to light the fuel, to put it in a more chaotic period of its lifetime. You want Ghana to do a proxy war for Europe against those regions who resisted and kicked out the imperialists from their country. And I have a reason why I say this, because we all have heard what President Nana Akufo-Addo said during the US Africa Summit in last December 2022, where he literally invited the United States to come and to asking a help, a military help. Now they have a border. Ghana has a border with Burkina Faso. He was telling Blinken, Secretary Blinken, that he's worried with the presence of Russia, the Wagner group there. And what is the danger for Ghana of the presence of? Why it is not a problem for you the presence of French military there? Why it is not a problem for you the presence of the US military there, the Italians and everyone who has military base there? Only Russia is a problem for Ghana. What I mean, it's just sometimes crazy how our heads of states think. Now I'm gonna invite you to watch that clip where President Akufo-Addo asks for the military help from the United States during the US Africa summit. First, let me invite you this. Let's listen to this. This is what Horace Campbell says regarding the military. How those rebel groups or terrorist groups are allegedly financed by the West. Just listen to this, okay?
Lost 95% of its water resources. There's a plan by the Lake Chad Basin Authority to replenish Lake Chad. Who is against this? France. Who is against investment in reconstruction in West Africa? France. Who has been supporting, who allegedly has been supporting terror groups in West Africa? When the United States called for investigation into Boko Haram, it was revealed in the Nigerian newspapers that the French has been supporting Boko Haram in Nigeria. So the French create terrorist groups and then goes into African countries to say they are fighting terrorism in Africa. This kind of duplicity by France and fomenting terror and destruction has been challenged by the peoples of West Africa. In every country in West Africa, they're calling for the ending of French economic, financial, and military domination. So we in this country must call on our representatives and our political forces who are progressive. For example, Ocasio-Cortez, who is a...
Yeah. So that was Horace Campbell from Sahel. He's a renowned Pan-Africanist sharing his view. He has done an extensive research. He was also in Ghana, in Accra University for some time. Let me now just share where President Nana Akufo-Addo sitting with Secretary Blinken, asking for the military support.
Its significance for us. And I think that beyond everything, Madam, you were there, you were part of with the people from the Congress to come and talk, to be able to put into relief where we are. Yesterday I had I was part of an extremely useful meeting with the people from the Congress to come and talk about security matters. I believe that Madam, you were there, you were part of the meeting. And its significance for us. And I think that beyond everything, that is a matter that I want to urge upon you. Today, Russian mercenaries are on our northern border. Burkina Faso has now entered into an arrangement to go along with Mali in employing the Wagner forces there. I believe a mine in southern Burkina has been allocated to them as a form of payment for their services. Prime Minister of Burkina Faso in the last 10 days has been in Moscow. And to have them operating on our northern border is particularly distressing for us in Ghana. Apart from not accepting the idea of great powers once again making Africa their theater of operation, we have a particular position that you know about over the Ukraine war, where we have been very, very vocal and upfront about condemning the invasion of by Russia. And therefore, they're now to have this group at our borders is a matter of some considerable disquiet and concern for us. We really like to have a privileged opportunity to talk about its implications and what we believe ought to be the case. This is what took place with the discussion in the Congress yesterday, which I found very fruitful. And I would like the themes of that discussion should be the themes that we should continue to address. To what
Yeah, so this is what President Nana Akufo-Addo requested during the U.S.-Africa summit in Washington in December, last December, so 10 or 11 months ago. Now, another thing that, just for you to do the maths, what Nana Akufo-Addo did is last time, he also increased, I think, by 300% the salary of its, the military, when there was this talk of the coup in the Sahel region, so that that will help him to keep to stay in power. And then if you the Accra airport is actually the airport in Accra is actually operated by it's the U.S. military base. It's run by the U.S. Military. So given that now Ghana is an anchor state for the U.S. and all the West, and it is the way it has performed in the United Nations. The vote, it was, consistently supporting Ukraine. I'm not saying they have to support Russia, but they have been very vocal about it. So now bringing these military vehicles, is it really to finish the unfinished business by France and other European countries who have been kicked out from Niger, and to kick out this, maybe, to fight back this revolutionary leaders by basing from Ghana. So that is my hypothesis. But you please go ahead and share your view in the comment section. What do you think of this 105 armored vehicles being sent to Ghana, and it's going to continue? There is Ivory Coast, Togo, and Benin. All those countries, unmistakably, which supported the military intervention in Niger. Please share your view in the comments section. That was it for me. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one. So hello everyone. Really, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, to give it a like, thumbs up, and then also to share the video if you find it relevant. Imhotep Hero Ado is looking for loan, same time allowing US and EU stealing resources. Yes, 600 billion Ghanaian cedis. It's number one in the continent right now in the amount of debt, that from its total 10% of the continent debt to IMF is owned by Ghana. Give it a like as you are here. Before you leave this stream, please give it thumbs up. Fred Bantu, here they go begging again, help us. Yes. How to get pulled into someone else's house, take sides, definitely. Ghana needs a man to stand, not a little boy hanging on to Mama Rene Black. Everybody needs to go home, and Africans need to stay home and should be economically able to do so. Today's market, okay, the Juma boutique, one Ghanaian cedi is $0.084. And what is the one in bracket? Okay, Julius Menzies Okacho. Why are they sending me? Exactly, that's the thing. So I explained my part. I believe this is a backstab against the Sahel regions, particularly Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, and perhaps to finish the unfinished business of the military intervention. That could be as well. But share what you think. Why are they sending? Hell for unrepentant. There's no free gifts for definitely 100 armored vehicles. There is something that Ghana is paying, serving their interests at the expense of the Sahel region. Probably Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Ghana is definitely backstabbing the Sahel. However, Ghanaians, especially Akans, should be careful, as the northern region of Ghana and Volta region could retaliate against them. Yeah, thank you very much, really, all of you, for your input. I will see you on the next one. Ciao, ciao. Bye.